Welcome to Croatia Rally, welcome to Zagreb, and there is, you're quite right, somebody missing. No Colin Clark. We are missing Cole this weekend. He is busy in Australia, leaving us to go through our contacts book and look for anybody. Everybody was really busy. We got to the bottom of the barrel. We went through the bottom of the barrel and we found this man, Mike Chen, Red Bull TV's Chenny. Obviously, we're delighted to have you.
I want to say that that's not true, but it's
absolutely
completely true. Absolutely. What an introduction.
You can't argue with that.
What an introduction. It's brilliant to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
It's great to have you. In all seriousness, it is great to have. Chenny is one of the journalists I've worked with for 10 years. Obviously, you were still at school when we started.
Yeah.
But just knows plenty about everything. And let's start right here. Kalle Rovanperä, championship leader. Actually, I haven't seen you from Monty, Sweden. It's been a while. So what's your take, on Kalle's start for the year?
Look, he's had a hell of a start to the year under difficult circumstances, because remember, new cars, all new regulations, and he's been the man to turn his hand to it straight away and get the job done, and he comes here leading the championship by 14 points, and for me, he's got a hell of an opportunity. First on the road here at Croatia. We can talk about the weather and everything else a little bit later on, but he's got a real opportunity, because obviously he did throw it off 4 kilometres into the start of the rally last year, so he is on the back foot. Time will tell whether or not he can make up for that disadvantage that he's got having not done the rally before. For sure, like you said, road position is going to be massive for him. Elfyn, it's the complete opposite, isn't he? He's done the rally, and he had a hell of a battle last year. Lost the rally win literally at the final corner. of this rally. So he's got the experience, he's got the confidence, but because he's had such a terrible start to the year, his road position here is poor. And the more, we saw it so much last year, the more cars that go through, because cutting is such a big thing, it just pulls all that muck out onto the road, and it penalises you massively. And I think Elfyn's 8th or 9th on the road. So, he's going to be arriving at corners where there's just mud all over the road.
And that's just physics. There simply isn't the adhesion between car and planet Earth to get you through the corner.
And it takes your confidence away more than anything, because it's not predictable. Everything's so unpredictable, And
your gravel notes been through, they've given you what they see the corner as, and it's changed completely from your gravel notes, from your recce to your gravel notes to actually getting there on the day.
He's got the pace. There's no question he's got the pace, but he's on the back foot because of that a little bit, and particularly if the weather starts to become an issue as well.
Yeah, and it's the inconsistency as well. In some corners there's no grip, then in the next corner there's not been quite as much cutting, and there is more grip, and it does become. We've seen this regularly, that tarmac rallies, when you have weather that is difficult and changeable, it is almost like Monte Carlo every time, isn't it? Because you just don't know where there's going to be black ice on Monte or where there's going to be mud here.
Yeah, and you'll get that here as well. Particularly, the problem's compounded if we do see rain, and it is forecast. When that dries out, on the open roads, you'll be on bone dry tarmac. But as soon as you head in underneath the trees, and there's plenty of those sections that are kind of fast and winding here that are under the trees, that holds the damp.
Yes.
So, and you lose tyre temperature very quickly, and you can come off the dry tarmac and then be on the wet stuff. And it's very, very easy to get caught out. So all that stuff is gonna come into play this weekend, and I think we're going to be in for a banger. I really, really do.
Definitely, but these guys absolutely,
It's
a big puddle. Talking about the rain coming, the rain has clearly arrived. These boys really need a result, don't they? We're outside Hyundai now. Thierry's result in Sweden chucked them a lifeline. In Monte, oh man, that was a big old struggle for them just to actually get to the event and have 3 cars built and ready to go. They really struggled. They need a turnaround. They need strong performances across the board.
Yeah, look, Thierry Neuville's been the man who's carrying the team at the moment, isn't he? And Oyt Tanak's had a bit of a shocker so far this year. He'll bounce back, because for me, Oyt's main strength is his mental ability. He'll be able. Nothing phases him. Nothing at all phases him. And there's no question that the guy's a former world champion, so he's got the pace. And Thierry Neuville, I think he's finished second 4 or 5 times now. And he's been knocking on the door. The pace is there. I think that the problem lies deeper at Hyundai. Again, as you kind of touched on, Monte Carlo, were they really ready? I don't know. There was still, the paint was still fairly fresh, when they turned up at Monte. But Andrea Adamo's gone, and does the problem lie a little bit deeper within the team? Is morale low? Is the team dynamic working there? And if it's not, that if everything's not coming together and someone's not steering the ship from the front and rallying the troops, that costs you time per kilometre.
Which is exactly what Andrea Adamo did. He stood out front and he said, "I am the leader," and he was the absolute general of these troops. They're missing that. What's going to be really interesting now is what they've done in the last 8 weeks. They haven't been able to do a huge amount of development testing on tarmac. They've done some work on gravel, but it's been 2 months off. How have they made use of that? Because they have got to turn some corners. You said exactly right. Tanak struggled like hell. We saw in Sweden that he had the issue with the hybrid. For me, Thierry really did them a good turn with that second place, but they need to move forward. Oliver Solberg's never been here before. It's not an easy place to come. He's going to just have to kind of get through this event, bag some experience, and be there to pick up manufacturer points if either of the other two boys fail. But
yeah, for Oliver, it's like you said, it's seat time. That's the thing this weekend. It's seat time, and it is a rally where you need some experience, and he hasn't got that in the same kind of bucket loads that Thierry and Oit have got. Thierry for me this weekend is the man who's going to have to lead the team because he's got road position on his side.
Yep.
Oit, again, like Elvin, we were just saying, he's going to have to deal with the kind of dirty road, the polluted road. Let's see what happens. The pace is there. They'll come good. But have they been able to make the jump forward in the kind of 7-8 weeks that we've had off? I don't know.
It's a difficult rally as well, though, isn't it? We talked last night about the fact that we've not seen these kind of roads with these kind of cars. It's different.
Croatia's it's almost like a mini Finland on tarmac. So you're going. There's lots of kind of high-speed crests where there's lots of off-camber stuff, and these cars are inherently different from last year in that there's less suspension travel and they're heavier. So when the car starts to move around on the surface of the road, you've got momentum working against you, which is going to be a big deal for the drivers to have to kind of get their head around here. And one of the things they were saying in pre-season testing was we had to get used to the weight because you turn in and the car would move, but the momentum of the extra weight would keep it moving, and that could be something that would be quite interesting here in Croatia.
It is a pendulum, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly what it is, the pendulum effect.
That extra bit of weight, and the fact that we're here on tarmac. You talk about it being a Finland. In Finland, you come out of these really quick corners and a big crest, and you've got that progression from the tyre. You don't have that on tarmac.
Yeah, you land on the gravel, and the car will kind of land, and you'll just get that natural movement because the surface is slicker. Here, if it's bone dry, and particularly you run the soft tyre, which switches on instantly, you land, and the car just grips up instantly, and that's when you get that kind of tank slapper effect.
Just talking about tyres briefly, we have 28 tyres on offer for the drivers. This weekend they have 28 hards to go for if they want to. They can use hards at every loop, or they have 18 medium soft compound tyres, and they have 8 of the really wet compound. But it has to be pouring with rain to use that wet. It is such a soft compound, isn't it? Across a loop, I'd be surprised.
We touched on it earlier, David. I think where tyre choice will become critical when it rains, but then starts to dry out.
Yes.
Because you'll get places naturally in the stage where the road will dry, and then you'll head down into the trees and it'll be wet, and as soon as you start to lose tyre temperature, you instantly lose that grip, and then you lose the confidence
in the car,
and it all starts to fall apart and unravel. So that's going to be interesting.
This is where I've got to be honest. Tarmac rallies have never been my absolute favourite, especially dry tarmac rallies. But here it's different. The grip is so low. The weather is going to be changeable, and this, there's so many curveballs coming in. This has got the makings of being a great event.
I think it's going to be a cracker. 3 days, 20 stages, and you'll start to see. For us, it's the perfect thing because Calais hasn't done this rally.
Yeah.
He's got the best road position, but hasn't done the rally. And then you've got the guys at the back who've done the rally and have had a great result.
Yeah.
Elvin, for example,
Yeah.
but he is going to be heading into a dirty stage, and he'll be on the back foot. So
the one guy we haven't spoken about is Esapek Alapi.
Yeah,
we've moved on from Toyota, but first tarmac rally. It's quite a big ask of him as well, isn't it? He's never driven a car competitively on tarmac.
He's got nothing to lose though.
No.
That's the beauty
That's
of that's the beauty of the
His
Esapeka
programme,
Lappi situation. He's mentally strong. He can get in the car and just drive it. He doesn't really need to worry. You know, he's really performed and he's done a good job. But it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. He'll be the first to admit, you know, he's got lots of karting experience and stuff like that. But tarmac is not probably his preferred surface.
Talking about impressive starts, there was no more of an impressive start than M Sport in Monty, was there? I mean, that was pretty sensational. Double podium, Sebastian Loeb back with a bang.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Like Sebastian Loeb turns up, gets in the car, and I was speaking to Malcolm Wilson, and he got in it, and he came in after shakedown, and they said, well, "What do you want to change?" And he went, "Nothing.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. Don't touch it."
That's
and
experience, isn't it?
Just driving around he was comfortable to be able to drive around any potential problem that there might be, and he just said, "Just leave it alone. Don't mess with it."
Down the years, so many drivers that would jump in a car, just a little tweak here becomes a bigger tweak, and then suddenly they're changing the car night and day.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't need to do that.
He's so good at what he does, and it was amazing start to the year for M Sport. Craig Breen, he's got some work to do this weekend, I think, you know, and for sure he's the man who's kind of leading the team full time. He hasn't had the best start to the year, has he? I mean, it was good in Monty, but then it kind of all unravelled in Sweden.
Very quickly in Sweden.
Yeah,
he does. It's difficult, but I think he does come here a little bit on the back foot. You're going to catch up with him later. We'll be able to see that video on dirtfish.com later on. Who else? With Gus Greensmith.
Brilliant start to the year.
Unbelievable start to the year.
It's like he's had a complete system reset in his head. Yeah. You know, Gus was looking at what was going on around him, what other drivers were doing, and it's like he's just forgotten all about that. Got in the car and started driving and focusing on what he's got to do. And consistency. At the end of the day, the World Rally Championship is about scoring points. It's not necessarily about scoring wins a bit. You've got to score points. You've got to put points on the board, and that's what Gus has done. And he's de facto third in the championship.
It's sensational. And he's bagged that first fastest time. You know, he's now after his first podium, and it's going to come this year, undoubtedly. You know, the rate of improvement that we're seeing, and just the consistency. And what's really impressed me with Gus is the fact that he probably had the least amount of testing of any of the M Sport drivers in a car which really needed seat time.
Yeah, this whole sport is in your head, and Craig's carrying a bit of pressure. For Gus, he knows he's just got to get in it and drive it, and I think that's the bit that's finally clicked now. He's not worrying about other people, gets in it, drives it, and the time will come and the pace will come. And at the end of the day, you don't get better by not finishing. The first rule of this is just get it to the finish line, and then take it from there. And that's what he's doing this year, and so far it's working for him.
Yep. There is an awful lot of action to come in the next 3 days. It's going to be very entertaining. We might even bring Chenny along for the whole weekend. Stay in touch with dirtfish.com, Dirtfish Rally, all over our social channels. Stay tuned, and bring Colin back soon, because he knows all this stuff much better than I do.
And me.
And him.